and welcome to the Gray Area. I'm Bobbi.
I'm Kay.
And today we're talking about more current events stuff other than feelings.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Mom,
I think that's good.
I think we need that.
We were heavy with feelings.
The last one.
The last one.
Yeah.
So we just want to talk about other people.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe their feelings.
Yeah. And give our feelings on their feelings.
That works.
Mom, would you like to take it away with our first topic?
Okay, so our first topic is J.R. Smith, who used to play basketball for the Cleveland Cavaliers, and then I think he was released, and so he's kind of been chilling. You know, I'm sure he has some other things going on, but he's not playing basketball, which is his main source of income, probably. Yeah. So in the midst of him not playing basketball, he has separated from his wife.
Which is news to his wife, apparently.
Which is, I guess, news to his wife and news to everybody else. But he's walking the dog of another woman. He's, taking pictures at parties with another woman. And clearly he's with this other woman.
Yeah.
I think she is she's an actress, a little starlet in Hollywood. What
Flash, I think, on CW.
Okay.
Something like that.
All right, I don't watch it, but I know that she's a younger girl just out here in the world having fun, and JR is still officially married even though he's separated. So the topic came up about, first of all, whether it's okay to date when you're separated.
Yeah.
That was the first topic. And then the second one was about his wife who did a prayer on IG. Instagram, for those of us that don't know.
In response to,
and I don't even know what it was in response to.
I think she might have, did she do the prayer trying to get ahead of the news officially breaking that he was seen with another woman?
And that could be it, because I know that the pictures dropped. And then we saw the pictures, floating around with them I think they were at a Halloween party.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden we hear from her. I've never heard JR's wife's voice ever.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden we see her praying on Instagram. And she said that she was led to pray and God told her to do it. So we got a lot of things to unpack here.
Yeah. So the first question of, is it okay to date when you're separated? Now, I'm not married or in like a serious relationship, but I think if you come to like an amicable agreement that we are separated, then I guess I don't see the problem with going out on a date with someone.
Yeah.
Depending on if it's just one person is like, I'm separating from my partner, but my partner doesn't know it, then obviously that's cheating.
That's wrong. Yeah.
That's wrong.
That's cheating.
But if you both have decided we just are not working out right now, and this is maybe not the best situation for both of us, then I don't really see like a big problem with.
Okay, well, here's the thing. If we've come to a mutual understanding that we are going our separate ways, and we're not trying to salvage anything.
Yeah. Like
we're moving on, and there's no 3 p.m. booty calls, 3 a.m. booty calls, or us trying to go and see a therapist, to correct our relationship. If that is the case, I think definitely dating while you're separating, preparing to divorce, is okay.
That's what I'm not like, oh, well, we had a fight and we're not talking to each other for a couple of days.
Right.
That type of thing.
Right. And if you and clearly if one person moves out of the house, it's over anyways.
Yeah, it's done.
Okay, so then at that point you can do what you want to do. But if we had an argument and you just need a cooling period, and maybe you go away for a couple of days and then, but you're still talking to me while talking to other people, to me that's cheating. You know?
Yeah.
And that's not right.
I agree.
So JR came back after his wife did the prayer on Instagram and said that they've been separated for months.
Which makes it seem to me that that was a one-sided separation. Like, he was separating from her, and she might have thought that they were just on the rocks, but could maybe salvage.
Or it could be she, was crying out for help or attention. She said that God told her to do. I don't, my God, I don't think my God would tell me that.
And I would have to agree.
I
don't necessarily think
me and my God would have to have a long talk about that one.
Yeah.
Putting it on Instagram, because I don't feel like you should air out your
dirty laundry.
Your dirty laundry on social media, period. That's just not the forum for it.
And I think I think what made it look really bad to me.
You're talking about the prayer?
I'm talking. So we both can agree that
dating is fine.
Dating is fine if it is
a mutual understanding,
and it is going to lead to a divorce eventually. Like, you have started the proceedings.
You started the process. It's okay for us to move on.
Yeah.
Okay.
With the prayer. So I saw the video on Twitter, and J.R. Smith's wife is wearing, she's wearing a hat that says "I love you." She's in her car,
which that problematic to me.
Your favorite word?
Yeah,
problematic.
And it was.
And she was wearing the hat, and her prayer is not so much like it's trying to disguise itself as like, I'm praying for his deliverance and everything, but she's in the prayer spilling the beans on what's happening.
Yeah, I was with her with, I wouldn't have done the prayer.
I don't think anyone would have done the prayer.
But I was like, okay, so if her God told her to do the prayer, who am I? Okay? So I was with her until she said the part about the girl. What did she say?
She said, "And God, I just pray that you deliver Candace, for she has sought out a married man."
That was it. That was the line.
That was the line.
That's when we parted company. Because then I said, okay, this doesn't sound like God.
No. Sounds like you.
This sounds like you.
Sounds like you who's mad.
Yeah. Angry.
Yeah.
Yeah, and rightfully so.
And no one's saying she can't be mad, but it's all in how you move in the situation to the public. To me, and to a lot of people on Twitter, they're like, you're sitting in your car wearing a "I love you" hat, talking about God told you to do this prayer on Instagram, and your husband is still stepping out on you.
Yeah, and the bad part about it is that he felt he had to come back and say something, because everybody was like ragging on him, like, you got your wife out here looking crazy saying prayers and you're not doing anything about it. And so his response was, hey,
she's the one looking crazy.
We've been separated for months. And even that to me was kind of bad, because it's like, even though she took it upon herself to put herself on social media with their problems, I wish that he would have gone to her, and maybe he did, in private, and said, hey, this ain't the way to do it. Yeah. We've been separated for months. You know what our situation is. We're not trying to work it out. But if he is in counseling and if he's in counseling during the week with her trying to repair their marriage, and then on the weekends he walking this girl's dog, he wrong.
Yeah, he's wrong. He's wrong.
There's no two ways about it.
I have to agree.
But I will tell you this, Bobby. This situation with J.R. Smith and his wife makes me think about I don't know if you heard about. Well, this was a while back, but the situation with Antoine Fuqua and Layla Rashawn.
No.
Now, do you know who Layla Rashawn is?
She was in Waiting to Exhale.
She was in Waiting to Exhale. She was. Well, you already know who her character was.
I just know she was in Waiting to
You
Exhale.
just know she was in Waiting to Exhale. Well, they've been married for years, have children. Now, I kind of like. Now, people will disagree with me, but I like the way that Layla Rashawn handled herself when it came to the situation with her husband having indiscretions with Nicole Murphy.
So how did all of that go down?
Well, I think we might save that. We'll table that when we start to discuss Justin Timberlake.
And that's a perfect segue into Justin Timberlake. So I heard about this story a little bit ago, but we both had a conversation last night with a family member who gave a little bit more detail into.
Well, yeah, she not only gave us details, but she asked us a question.
Yes.
And it got a little heated for a minute.
I feel like that was one-sided heat. Like I wasn't, I was not pressed.
I was heated.
Well, okay.
I was heated because, so the question was, well, let's give a little background on Justin and what happened.
So Justin Timberlake is or just wrapped up filming a movie called Palmer in New Orleans. And he was seen, first it was photos that came out of him and his co-star.
Inappropriate photos.
Yes, inappropriate photos of him and his co-star. I just said her name and I completely blanked. But
she plays on that show.
Alicia Wainwright.
Okay.
And they were both heavily intoxicated. And they're on a balcony and Justin is noticeably gone, but he's like almost like pawing at her, and she's like playfully kind of got her hand on his knee and his thigh.
She looked like she loved every minute of it. He looked like he was two sheets in the wind.
Yeah. So basically that kind of started some murmurings that he's probably stepping out on his wife,
right,
Jessica Biel.
Yeah.
And so what was the question that was posed?
Well, the question was posed, do you think, or would you be mad at the girl for the inappropriate behavior? Or would you be mad at Justin Timberlake if you were married to Justin Timberlake?
If you were Jessica, in the sense of like, if you're Jessica Biel, are you mad at Alicia, or are you mad at Justin, or are you mad at both of them?
Right, because Jessica Biel is Justin Timberlake's wife.
Yes.
So my response was, this little starlet girl, I keep forgetting her name.
Alicia.
Yeah, but it's irrelevant. Okay, but she didn't take vows with me.
Yeah.
Now I'm speaking as though I'm Jessica Biel. This girl did not take vows with me. My husband did.
Right.
So my problem is completely with him. 100%.
Yeah.
Okay. Now that doesn't mean if I see her that I may not have an exchange of words with her. That doesn't mean that.
Is it on site type of thing?
Yeah, it's on site.
It's on site.
It's on site. Yeah. But in terms of me coming out of character,
no.
I'm not about to have that type of situation with her. All of that energy is going to be to him. You know, but one of our family members blamed the girl. Fully. And that pissed me off. How are you going to blame this girl?
You wanted to cuss.
I did, because I felt it. I felt it in my crawl and it was coming up. But no, how can you blame this girl when this girl is doing her? Yeah. She's young. She's not tied down. She's not married. She doesn't have kids. She's living her life. Now, right, wrong, or indifferent, that's what she's doing. But at the same time, I'm not married to her.
Yeah.
I'm married to him. So that was the whole thing. And when we were talking about, some people in the family just blaming the girl, I couldn't see it. And so I asked you, what did you think?
Yeah,
you being a young woman, what do you think?
Well, I am of the mind that I would be mad at both, but the bulk of my emotional anger or just fury is going to him. I would say about 95% of my issue is going to him and 5% is going to her.
Right.
And we're similar in the vein that if I saw her, yes, on site. Yeah. Because, you knew what you were doing. Right. You knew that he was married.
Yeah. She would definitely deserve a conversation would need to be had.
It would be a woman to woman.
It would be a woman to woman because we would keep it cute. Yeah. But she's going to hear.
Yeah, she's going to hear what I have to say.
Absolutely.
Because you've now inserted yourself.
Into my life.
So you get what you get.
Absolutely.
But I'm going to be mad with Justin because, similar to you, I married him. Yeah. He's the father of my kids. Yeah. I didn't ask for, I don't know you. Mm-hmm. I think you're wrong, but I don't know you. And I don't have the authority in your life to tell you what to do or what not to do. But absolutely. When you involve my husband, who is in my life, and who I would think have some say in what they do and what they don't do, then you got me out here looking stupid. Yeah. Because I trusted you, in our relationship to go handle your business. Yeah. And you're out here trying to step out and do whatever.
And see, here's the thing. Looking at the facts of the story or what's been presented to us, this is, this is all alleged. Yeah. But we did see some videotape. But my whole thing is this. Jessica Biel probably has been here before.
Probably.
She knows that her husband has community penis. She knows he does. If you're a woman and you with a man, you know if your husband has community penis or not. Yeah. Okay? Mm-hmm. So I feel like she has been here. But in her defense, she probably stays because she has given up. Yeah. Her career basically to be, a mother, play wifey or whatever. She's given all of that up. So she stays with him. But if it were me, I'm going to stay with him too. Yeah. And I tell you why. I'm going to stay with him. But guess what? He's going to pay for every single thing that he did.
Yeah. I agree.
He's going to be reminded that, wow, I married the wrong woman.
Mm-hmm. You stepped out on the wrong
one. You stepped out on the wrong one. I'm not going to do anything to harm you, but I am going to make you pay every single day. And see, I don't think you get that way overnight. No. People started, and this goes to relate to Rashawn. Mm-hmm. When her situation with Antoine Fuqua came out, and we saw the pictures of him kissing Nicole Murphy over in Italy, that was embarrassing to that woman.
Yeah, rightfully so.
But she knows she married community penis. Yeah. She knows she did.
She did.
Okay? But I like the way she handled it. She didn't go on social media. She didn't talk to this news outlet or whatever. What she did was she handled it behind closed doors. She shut her social media down. Mm-hmm. And you didn't hear from her. Nobody knew what was going on. Yeah. The next thing we saw in all of the madness when Nicole Murphy trying to defend herself, she couldn't really defend herself. The pictures were the pictures.
What was she gonna say?
What was she gonna say, really? And everybody dragging her through the mud, dragging Antoine through the mud. Nobody knew what was going on with Layla Rashawn. Mm-hmm. Then weeks later, what do you see? A picture of Layla Rashawn smiling from ear to ear like a Cheshire cat, and Antoine standing next to her looking miserable. She probably done went out shopping
on his card.
She probably done planned a 10 country trip
on his card,
on his dime. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Because here's another woman that has given up her life to play this role in his life. So now that you've decided to make a mockery of me and our relationship, you're going to have to pay.
Yep.
Now, this leads to my second question with you. That's my stance on that. Do you agree with what I said? And let me preface this by saying, now I wouldn't do this with any old Po Joe on the street.
That, I think...
we not know. You got to have some money. Okay? You got to have some money.
I think that was what we were talking about last night. And I think on this, we don't... It's not that we disagree on a ton, but in this case... I would agree with you that if you are going to do this, if you are going to make the conscious decision to step out, then I retain the right to really break your psyche as far as us together goes.
Yes.
I will make your life miserable.
Yes.
Because you have brought misery onto me.
Absolutely.
But I'm agreeable as well to the fact that for me, I can say for me right now, where I am in life, cheating is a non-negotiable. If you cheat on me, we're done. But I'm talking
that's
about
with somebody that don't
confines,
really have any money.
This, like, in the confines of my life right now, I don't have a ton of collateral.
Yeah,
that would make it to where
you're supposed to move on.
Yeah, like right now, as a 21-year-old woman, I'm probably dating other 21 to 22, 23-year-old dudes
so really
who don't
right now,
have anything.
You shouldn't be tied down anyway.
Right.
But that's another story.
So if someone is cheating on me right now in this moment when we both really don't have much, then I really don't have much reason to say.
It's time to move on.
It's time to move on.
Yeah.
But if it was a case, in this case, where it is two high-profile people who have money and more than likely a prenup agreement of some kind, then the incentive to stay becomes a lot stronger, but I will make it work for me.
You have to. And see, and that's, to me, that's the smart answer. And I know I'll probably get some backlash on that because there's probably a ton of people like, what are you teaching your daughter? But at the same time, I know how life can get to be.
Yeah.
Life can be hard.
Yeah.
And if you have a lot on your plate, you've given of yourself, you've had children, you're raising children, you're the person that everybody in your family depends on.
Yeah.
Having a full 9-to-5 job just does not fit into that lifestyle.
Yeah.
So if I'm with a person who's able to maintain my lifestyle and take care of me, this is an investment. This is not only a personal situation, this is a business deal.
Yeah.
Okay? My livelihood is contingent upon this other person. I made that commitment. He made that commitment. And just because this indiscretion happened with another woman doesn't mean I'm finna give up my livelihood and start struggling because he don't know how to keep his thing in his pants.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. It's like, it comes down, it's not really pride, but it's like, I think it is like a bravado almost, like, yeah, I left because you did this and it hurt me. But now I'm having to start from square one.
Yeah.
And for some people, that may be the only way that they can justify it. But for me, personally, if I've gotten used to a way of living.
Yeah.
And, this person went out and did this boneheaded thing. Yeah, I'll be done with you as far as, emotionally.
And which is
fine. We're done. But as far as us being together,
we're gonna stay in this house together.
Yeah.
You can stay on one side of the house,
and I'll
stay on the other side, and we will play family. But at the same time, I'm not giving up my lifestyle because you made a decision outside of us.
Yeah.
I'm not going to rearrange my life. And I think that's not an easy place to get to because you're a woman.
Yeah.
You have feelings, you have emotions. And I'm sure for Jessica, Bill, as well as for Layla Rashawn, when they first started out and first started experiencing their husband stepping out, it didn't feel good.
No,
So you don't get there overnight, but eventually, if it continues to happen, it's almost like something clicks in you, or you become desensitized to the feelings of, oh, woe is me. Mm-hmm. There's a warrior inside of you that starts to fight back. Like, okay, you know what? I'm pissed off with him right now.
Yeah.
And in terms of how I feel towards him, that has changed, but my lifestyle is not going to change.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
There you go.
I agree. Well, I guess this brings us to our last topic of the podcast.
Yeah.
And it's about, well, before we go forward, one last bit of the Justin Timberlake story was that I guess Jessica Biel went down to visit him on set. Mm-hmm. And Alicia Wainwright, who he was allegedly cheating with, left set for the weekend. The same weekend that Jessica came down. And the question was, does that
scream
guilty? And I think it does.
Yeah, and then you got to realize this girl is young.
Yeah.
I mean, she's young. She's with a mega star, Justin Timberlake,
who's been famous forever.
Started out in the Disney. Was he with the Disney Mouseketeer or the Disney Club?
Mickey Mouse Club.
The Mickey Mouse Club. I mean, he's been doing it for a long time, and as a young woman who's trying to get on and trying to make a name for herself, from her perspective, it kind of feels good if this guy is giving you that attention. Yeah. Let's be honest. Anybody that says it doesn't feel good, they lying.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, she sees that the heat is getting to be too much, so she gets on a plane and then she rides off. Mm-hmm. It makes sense.
It does, and I think with this whole situation, I would want her. If you're gonna be Miss Big and Bad, and I'm doing what I want to do, and if I want to get with your husband, I'm gonna do that. Fine. But for me, I would say you stay. And I would rather you look Jessica Biel in the eye.
She ain't finna do that.
She wouldn't do it. But that's a real sign of like, oh, okay. So that's how you moving.
Yeah.
I can respect it if you make your bed and you actually lie in it.
Yeah, but most people
she won't
don't.
do it. She's not gonna do that.
No, she's not gonna do it.
And so now, to me, the fact that she's fled the scene, when Jessica decides to mosey on down to New Orleans, it screams guilt.
Yeah, but what we got to do is we got to circle back and put the blame where it's supposed to be, which is on Justin Timberlake, because Justin got everybody talking about the women and ain't nobody talking about Justin. Justin has created this situation to where this Ashley girl feels like, is it Ashley or
Alicia?
Alicia, okay. He's made her feel like, she's being whisked away. I'm the other woman, so I've got to get out of town. Mm-hmm. The wife is coming.
Yeah.
He's put her in. It's all on him.
Yeah.
It don't have nothing to do with Alicia, Ashley, Aliyah, whatever she is. Mm-hmm. It has nothing to do with her. It has everything to do with Justin Timberlake's bad decisions and bad behavior.
Yep.
And I will end it there.
Okay, so our last topic of discussion. So last night, we're filming this on a Sunday, sorry. And last night, Eddie Murphy and Lizzo were on Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
And Eddie Murphy, this is the first time that he's been on since he left the show. Mid-80s, probably?
Probably.
So it's been a good little bit, at least 30 plus years.
Yeah.
So this is a topic close to home for me because I do sketch comedy at my school. And so I've gotten to know the world of comedy as a whole, but sketch specifically in, Saturday Night Live is the peak
For
of
those that don't know what sketch is, what is sketch?
So sketch comedy is basically, everyone knows it because almost everyone that has seen an SNL sketch. And so it's basically just a shorter form comedic it's almost like a comedic play.
Okay.
You usually have a character who's kind of wacky, or you have what's called the game of the sketch, which is the situation that lends the comedic parts.
Okay.
And they're usually no more than like 5 to 10 minutes. And then you move on to the next one, and ta-da, you have a sketch.
Oh, wait. Okay.
So there has been a lot of, talk since last night about how Eddie Murphy did, and we've both watched some of his sketches that he did.
Yeah.
Separately. So now this is our first time discussing what we think about it.
Yeah.
So, Mom, would you like to go first?
Well, I'll say this. Okay, so we're clearly from two different generations.
Clearly.
So, Eddie Murphy is a comedic genius.
Yeah.
So I don't care if he doesn't do shit from here to Kingdom Come. He's gonna always be there for me.
I agree.
But I will say that as he's gotten a little seasoned, up in age, the jokes don't fall the same. So when Eddie Murphy started to make a comeback, and his first comeback was, I think, Dolomite. I think that was his first movie or first acting debut in a long time.
And that's up for a Golden Globe.
And it's
this year.
Which surprising, but okay, I got it.
Yeah.
Okay. So I was just looking forward to it because I love Eddie Murphy. But I will say that the Eddie Murphy of this day and age, he's rich.
Yeah.
Filthy.
Yeah.
The grind is different. When you're getting up there and you're you're doing your sketches and all of that type of stuff. When you're filthy rich, you just, it's almost like you don't have relatability.
You know what, Mom? You genius. That is a thing.
I'm a genius.
Okay, I take it back.
Okay.
No, but that is a topic that a lot of people have talked about with the upper echelon comedians. So
yeah,
a lot of people have talked about Ellen and Jerry Seinfeld, who have just disgustingly rich now, but they're no longer relatable, and they can't do the same comedy that they did starting out. Even with Ellen, she within the LGBTQ community, she's not very attainable anymore. She's not accessible. And then Jerry Seinfeld, who kind of really, really popularized observational comedy in the early 90s.
Yeah, Seinfeld was genius. I love that show.
Now when he does stuff, it's like, oh my gosh, you really are out of touch. But I think Eddie Murphy's kind of fallen victim to that as well.
But I do believe that there are some people that can still be, even with age and even with their their status in life and having a bunch of money, I still think that they are funny.
Yeah, I have
Dave Chappelle is one of them.
Dave Chappelle.
Larry David,
Conan O'Brien.
Yes. So I don't know if it, Eddie Murphy is not relatable, but it's also, I don't know if it comes down to a personality thing. I don't know if it comes down to an experience thing. I don't know what it is, but I just felt like watching Eddie on Saturday Night Live, it was almost like robotic. Like even his body motion was very, okay, turn to the left, turn to the right.
It's choreographed.
It just didn't feel authentic, and I was so looking forward to it because Eddie Murphy did some of the best characters. Like, he had some of the best sketches of all time on Saturday Night Live back in the day.
Yeah.
So I knew he's an older Eddie, and so it wasn't going to be the same, but I wanted to see something funny.
Yeah, a lot of the beats of the sketch, which, a beat of a sketch is basically every time a high point of the sketch starts. So the first laugh is basically the first beat of a sketch. And every single time he did something and the joke landed, I was like, it's almost there. It was almost funny,
on the edge.
But he was pulling back for some reason.
He was pulling back. He was very...
What was happening?
You know what? I'm going to tell you something else, too. I'm going to tell you something else. I feel like Eddie Murphy is too aware.
Yeah.
When you are a comedian,
Mm-hmm.
there's got to be some freedom with just letting loose and letting go.
Yeah.
And I know that, this day and age, especially with everybody kind of being uptight about things that are being said, and, this group doesn't like this comedian saying this group doesn't like, it's a lot. So then, yeah, you are on guard a little bit, but his was more over the top. It was like he was really aware of, I don't know if it was going in his head like, okay, not saying the wrong thing or remembering his lines. I don't know what it was, but he was very aware.
Yeah. And I going back to what we were talking about with, like how as a top tier comedian do you retain that relatability? I think that it comes down to the comedians that we just named that have had really nice longevity.
Yeah.
Have kept the joke on them.
Yeah.
And I can't necessarily say.
Well, I don't know about Dave Chappelle if he's kept the joke on himself.
He's
because
not
he's
like
a genius in talking about, current events and making them.
But he's been very candid about his situation, walking away from fame and everything.
That
so
is
the joke, it's not like, I'm so like, ooh. But he was very transparent, and making jokes about that situation. Conan O'Brien, every time he does a remote or anything, the joke will always fall back on him, like him being a creep or him not knowing something. It rarely falls on the other person.
Kevin Hart is good at that too.
Yeah, and I think that's why he's had so much longevity.
Yeah. Is he funny all the time? That's up to the person watching him.
Comedy is subjective.
But he does, he does always put the joke back on him. He's genius at doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But with me, so you have a bit of a different experience because you were alive and able to really experience Eddie in his prime on SNL. Yeah. Whereas my first experience with Eddie Murphy was in Shrek. So by the time that so I'm, a Gen Zer, if you will.
What is a Gen Zer?
Gen Z.
Oh,
Gen Zer. That's what they.
What?
Generation Z.
Oh, okay. I didn't. Bobby, listen. The way y'all, change stuff around
no
and stuff.
One's changing stuff. You've heard Gen Z before.
I've never heard Gen Zer.
I'm just adding ER to Gen Z.
I've heard Generation Z.
So you couldn't shorten generation to Gen?
Do you want me to be floating around your head and know everything that you're going to chop and
I didn't make that up.
Bobby.
I didn't make that up.
Okay, so now tonight, going forward, if I hear somebody say Gen Zer, or Gen Z, I will know what it is, but I've heard Generation Z.
Okay. Well, as a member of Generation Z.
Thank you.
I was born in 1998. So by that time, Eddie Murphy, it really made more of a push into mainstream entertainment.
Yeah.
Dr. Dolittle, Shrek, Mulan, family entertainment stuff.
So your take on him is going to be, different.
But I still...
How do you think he did last night?
I think he did for what SNL is now. So when he was on it back in the day, in the 70s and 80s, SNL really hadn't hit that peak that it is at now. Like, it wasn't quite in the...
It was like on the up and up. It
really didn't quite hit like, oh, you gotta watch SNL until maybe the 90s to the 2000s when Will Ferrell, Tina Fey, Amy Poehler, people like that came onto the show. But in the 70s and 80s, it was still just kind of seen as like, oh, that's the little comedy show that's on NBC.
Yeah.
But I've gone back and I've watched the original stuff, and it has a grit to it.
Yes.
And I think it just that's a product of the times. The 70s and 80s comedy was extremely gritty. And you had maybe a couple of comedians that were a little bit clean, but everybody was talking about everything.
Yeah.
And I think that the show lended itself to be that. But now that we're in an age that's not that.
We're in an age where everything is hypersensitive.
hypersensitive, and I think the sharp edges have been rounded out a little bit, or a lot, depending on who you talk to. I think that he was working as best as he could within the confines of that. Yeah. I do agree that some of the jokes were a little bit static.
Yeah.
But knowing the behind the scenes bit of SNL, where it is a team of writers, and a lot of the times the talent do have a lot of say in what goes into the sketches and how they, are performed and the dialogue. So not putting this all on the writers at all, but I do think that the style of comedy that he was used to at SNL, now that that's no longer there and he's having to rework sketches from back in the day, like Mr. Robinson's Neighborhood, that really thrived in like the 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
Now it's not quite so. And so SNL now, I like it. A lot of people are very... and not a lot of people are just like clawing down the door to watch it.
I think it's good for where we are right now.
It does, yeah. I think it does. It does its political sketches very well. That's probably,
now the political stuff is the best.
That's probably what they're most famous for. Right now. But I think it doesn't quite have the grit of the 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
And I don't think that it ever will. And I don't necessarily see that as a problem. Mm-hmm. But I know a lot of people, especially who grew up on it, might.
But see, that's, I'm glad we're having this discussion because, Eddie Murphy is making a comeback. And you being of this, a Gen X ear.
No, you're Generation X.
You're Generation Z, so a Gen Z.
Well, you're Gen X millennial.
Maybe I should just stick to Generation Z.
Or how about you just say what year you're talking about? Maybe just get rid of the names.
Okay, so what I was going to say was because you're a part of a different generation than I am, mm-hmm. It's kind of good for Eddie.
Yeah.
Because he gets to reinvent himself. Mm-hmm. And you don't see a problem with what he's putting out there.
No, I mean, I think it would, from what I was reading about, his performance and everything, I think a lot of people were just like, oh my gosh, is Eddie Murphy back on SNL? Like, that carried a lot of the praise. That alone
was a big deal.
Well, yeah.
It was a huge deal.
All of the famous people coming back to SNL and hosting or whatever, that lends itself to have a lot of hype. Me personally, I can look at it through a little bit more of an objective lens just because I know the process of how sketch comedy works, mm-hmm. and I know a little bit more of like the technical bit. Yeah. And so I can say, it was great. Some of the sketches on paper are really good, but sometimes the problem with sketch is that you can write like a stellar sketch, mm-hmm. and sometimes when it's performed, it may just not land exactly.
And that's what it seemed like happened. That's what it seemed.
On some of the sketches, it just didn't feel right, and I don't know if it was that some of the cast members maybe were not like in awe, but it seemed like it was a little bit of nerve. It was just like a nervous energy that I felt with some of the sketches. I was like, y'all are not really hitting it like you're supposed to.
Yeah, and you can't really help that. Like you can't. You can make a great sketch, and if it's not delivered the way in which the writer wanted it delivered, then it may fall flat.
Yeah.
But I will tell you this, Dave Chappelle.
Yeah.
I would watch Dave Chappelle doing anything. Mm-hmm. One thing I liked about Dave Chappelle is, and that I like about him all the time, is that he just speaks what's on his mind. Mm-hmm. He has an awareness, but he doesn't have an awareness that stifles him from saying what he wants to say.
Yeah.
And I don't know if anybody caught it, and I don't know if you caught it, but I noticed last night when he was, lighting the cigarette, mm-hmm. and, I was like saying, can he do that? And I was like, wait a minute, that's illegal. But I think that was kind of like his response to Simon Cowell, mm-hmm. and his smoking, around people at NBC and all that stuff, and they've tried to get him to stop, but nobody can get him to stop. So to me, it was like Dave Chappelle was like, I dare you to say something to me. That's what I felt. Now, I may have gone too far with that, but that's kind of how, and I loved it. I loved every minute of it.
I think my favorite part of the entire night, which I still am working my way through all the sketches that came on, but my favorite part was his opening monologue and bringing on, Tracy Morgan and
Tracy's funny.
Tracy Morgan, Chris Rock, Dave Chappelle.
I love Chris
having
Rock.
all of them in that shot.
Yeah.
And then you have Kenan Thompson, which Kenan Thompson has been on. He's now the longest tenured member on
Try
the show.
getting rid of Kenan off of SNL and see what happens.
Yeah.
It's gonna fall flat.
You lose a lot of
Kenan
people.
is funny.
Yeah.
Kenan is funny. He's genius. And when he was standing up there with the greats, he belonged.
Yeah, absolutely. That honestly, I think Kenan stole the show not for his performance, but when you saw all those people, you're like, damn, Kenan needs to be there.
He needs to be there.
Yeah.
He belongs there. He's the next in line. That's
Yeah.
the way that I looked at it. I really think that Kenan is genius, and I'm looking forward to see what he does beyond SNL.
And maybe, I think for me, I've grown up with Kenan my entire life.
Yeah, because you used to watch
started
the Kenan and Kel show.
the Kenan and Kel show, all that, which was like the SNL of kids sketch comedy.
Yeah.
And now SNL. He bridged the gap between all of those people on SNL when it was at its peak leaving. So when Will Ferrell and Amy Poehler and Tina Fey, when all of them left, Kenan was still there with that cast, but he bridged the gap to the next big group of people like Kristen Wiig and Andy Samberg, Jason Sudeikis, Bill Hader. That next big group of people, he was the bridge to that. And now he's the bridge to this next generation of comedians on the show.
Yeah.
The one constant has been Kenan Thompson.
Yeah.
And he's never, like, his performance has never wavered. He's always been consistently so good.
Yeah, he is. Even when the sketch is bad.
Yeah.
That speaks to his talent.
Because some of the like sketches, a get out of jail free card.
Yeah.
You pepper in Kenan, you're like, okay, the sketch is bad, but Kenan was good.
Kenan was in it.
I watched
it. Was like pizza.
Yeah.
Even all pizza is good, even if it's bad. So,
Well, I think that's a good thing to end on. All pizza is good except when it's not.
Right.
So I really enjoyed this conversation, Mom.
This was a good conversation. We started in a
weird spot.
A weird spot.
Because, sometimes, ladies and gents, sometimes your parents push your buttons a little bit. And sometimes you've had enough. And perhaps we talked about disbanding the show before we recorded.
Right.
Maybe we had that conversation. But we're here now.
We're here and we got through it.
So I think this is us signing off. I'm Bobbi.
I'm Kay.
And this is The Gray Area.
Good night.
Good night.